What is up, guys? Pie Muffin here, and we are back with another Trails-related video. So, I haven't done this for the Trail series before yet, but they just dropped. By the way, before I go into anything, I mean, you'll know by the title what this video is about, but before I start doing anything or start talking about anything, if you have not played through Trails Through Daybreak 1 and 2. This will obviously have spoilers for you. If you don't care about spoilers, feel free to keep watching. But if you're someone who's obviously played Daybreak, Daybreak's been out for almost a month now. And then Daybreak 2 obviously has a fan translation if you go looking for it. So if you have played both games, then obviously nothing in here will be spoilers. But we will be going over the opening video for Kai no Kiseki, which is basically Trails Through Daybreak 3. They just obviously went with a different name for it because of the theme of the game. But what we're going to be doing here is we are going to be going through the opening, because I just have a lot of thoughts that I don't just want to... I've already dumped a ton of thoughts on Twitter, but I want to have a video where I just kind of talk about my thoughts. So obviously, if you're not caught up, don't want to be spoiled, just go ahead and click off the video. But if you're someone who's caught up, knows what's going on, or just doesn't care about spoilers, we're going to be going over the opening and talking about what... I guess just talking about the game itself and talking about what kind of plot we are going to see for this game. So obviously, just quick recap. Trails Through Daybreak, we deal with Almada. Trails Through Daybreak 2... we deal with the whole Red Grendel and Garden Master situation. And then now we are going to be going... we obviously know at the end of Trails Through Daybreak 2 that the space plan that Gramhart has been setting up since the first Daybreak is finally going to come to fruition. Like, we know Hamilton and Cronkite and a bunch of other characters are helping get this project of Gramhart, you know, the space, kind of like the whole space age thing. It's pretty much like, you know, the race to get to space, but obviously Calvard, thanks to the reparations they got from the Empire, from the war, they have the technology to make it happen first. So, I'm not going to let it play a full time through, because obviously you can just watch it yourself, but we're just going to go through the opening and just go, you know, kind of like bit by bit and talk about what we see. So let's go ahead and get into it. So right now, I'm not going to go over every single frame, because not every frame has a bit of information, but obviously we see Agnes here with her hair. Her hair is completely down here, and she looks obviously very sad, and she's in like a field of flowers of some kind. So very interesting there. Okay, obviously that's Tryon Tower. Let's see if we have anything here. What will the future have for Zemuria? This is obviously Gramhart's speech he's going to be giving about the space plan. A picture of all the Genesis. This is obviously Van's Ziffa right here. Start off seeing Van and the rest of our crew in their new outfits. We get more. So the first part of the opening is really just kind of like the homey feel of the Arkride Solutions office, you know, just everyone coming to wake up Van as usual, everyone eating at Montmartre in the morning, and then going off to work, so to speak. Which I do think, I know this is obviously like, this is like the Cold Steel 4 of the Calvard arc, so obviously a lot of the game is going to be about dire situations, but I do think probably like the first chapter-ish is probably going to be pretty laid back. It's going to just start with us doing our normal stuff, going around Edith, doing 4 SPGs, stuff like that. You know, all that kind of good stuff. So now we get our first shot of Kevin here. Obviously, we haven't seen Kevin since Trails to Azure. He wasn't even playable in Azure, but that's the last time we actually saw him physically in a game. So it's been about 9 games since we last saw him. We know he is making his return, and he's going to be working alongside mainly with the picnic crew. We've got Nadia, we've got Lapis and her new body, we've got Swin, and then we've got Rufus back there. Seemingly, Rufus bought... I don't even know where they are, because this is a big building back here, so I'm not actually sure where they are, but seemingly, Rufus has kind of like bought his own property so that he can kind of lay low, but still does what he needs to do while he's, you know, essentially on the run. And then we got, so this is Hermes. So this is our first time seeing Hermes with her helmet off, but they've already confirmed that this is Hermes. So Hermes is going to have some kind of important role here. She's obviously, we also know she is also someone, you learn in Daybreak 1 if you do one of her Connect events, that she is working with the whole SpaceX, whatever you want to call it, SpaceX program type deal, to help, Gramhart and the government. She delivers supplies and stuff. But it also seems like she's going to be using this, I assume this is an assault frame, right? I can't really read it from here, but I assume this is an assault frame, like a Calvardian assault frame, and it's not an Erebonea Soldat. But she's also got a space helmet, so we know she's going to be going into space. Then we got our Thor's crew here. So we had Reen right there, as well as we got Fee, which Fee has obviously been in the first 2 Daybreak games. Toa was in Daybreak 2. And then we've got Crow and Altina. I know a lot of people are a bit disappointed because Kondo did say he was going to be bringing back Class 7 for this game. Like, Class 7 would reunite, but in reality, unless the rest of Class 7 is in the game, but they're just going to be story NPCs, it does seem like that these 5, and maybe not even Toa, like, at least, we know Fee, Crow, Altina, and Reen are going to be playable, but it seems like these 5 may be the Erebonia characters that we see in this game. Which makes sense, because obviously you don't want to oversaturate the cast when this is still technically the 3rd Daybreak game. Like, Van and his crew are still the main focus here, just Reen and the others do have a part to play, but it'll be similar to Cold Steel 4, how, Estelle and the Libero crew, and then the SSS with Lloyd, they had a part to play, but it didn't overshadow the Cold Steel cast. Then we get the shot of Shizuna, which it seems like maybe this is her Ikaruga base, because you have a lot of people on the ground seemingly, I don't know if they're dead or, I mean, they're obviously probably dead, but I don't know if this is a past thing, or is this something that's going to happen in Daybreak? Are all of her people just going to be assaulted and slaughtered? We've got Yolda here. We've seen in some of the preview imagery that it seems like Yolda is going to be separating herself from Ix. Obviously, at the end of Daybreak 2, Ix and Yolda, or Yorda, however you want to say it, they joined Ouroboros as enforcer number, I forget if they were 20 or 22, but they basically joined as one enforcer together. Each of them didn't get their own number, they each just share a number, but it seems like something's going to happen in this game where they're going to split up. Yolda's going to leave the society, and Ix is going to stay. We get a shot of, so you can see right there, that was Elaine. They showed like a past Elaine in her school outfit, and then there's current Elaine. So there's definitely going to be something with Aramis. Maybe we'll get some kind of thing with like Van, Kincaid, and Elaine. We might get some flashback cutscenes of them in school to finally, tie everything together. Obviously, I do think this game is going to end with a Van-Elaine romance, because it's been set up for 2 games. But there's also the whole deal. Obviously, I don't want to get too into it because it's just a war between both sides, it's obviously something I'm not really super into myself, but obviously there is a one-sided crush from Agnes's side towards Van, but obviously she's 16, gonna be 17 in this game, and he's 25, so obviously we know from the Cold Steel games they're not gonna do anything with that. All the romance options for Reen that were the younger characters, besides Muse because she was pushy, he just gave him a head pat and was like, okay, maybe when you're older type deal. So even if they make it a choice, it's still going to be like, okay, Elaine gets a romantic scene and Agnes gets a, hey, maybe when you're older. But yeah, so then we got Ren here. Of course, Ren's going to be in the game. We got Gramhart. This is what's really interesting. So we've seen these guys that essentially have masks that almost look like symbols of the Genesis. And the theory that I'm seeing going around is that they might be, obviously you can see he's holding whoever this guy is right here is holding a Genesis right there. One of these guys, we'll see it here a little bit later, has swords that look like Aaron's. So the theory I'm seeing most right now is that these are masked warriors of the Arkride Solutions office from a timeline where Van maybe dies at the end of Daybreak 1, or, you know, the stuff in Daybreak 2 doesn't pan out and everything goes bad, and then there's just the handful of them that survive go down this dark path. But we'll go more into that later. Obviously, we have this very creepy mechanical-looking thing. My original theory is that these were going to be simulcrums, kind of like how Professor Novartis, who we already know is going to be in this game, in Reverie, he made that simulcrum of McBurn. He made a fake mechanical version of McBurn that didn't know he was a fake. So this could also be a similar thing. I doubt they're not going to know that they're fakes, because obviously they're wearing all these masks and everything. But they have to have some kind of relation to the Arkride crew, because obviously some of them have similar weapons to, like I said, there's one that has the same weapons as Aaron. So it could be like older versions of the characters in a timeline where stuff went bad, similar to how in Trails from Zero, we know that the original timeline Lloyd and the SSS died because Kia never fixed everything so that they met Estelle, Joshua, and Ren. So obviously it could be something similar to that. So right there we have Professor Hamilton right here. It seems she's got a Genesis right here somehow, and she's obviously working on something presumably related to the space stuff. And then right here, like I was talking about before, it looks like Ix is like obsessed with power. He's got a new white coat, and it's like Yolda's trying to like get him back, but he doesn't care. He just cares about power type deal. Right there, we've got Yoon Kafai. This will be his debut game where we actually see him in a full manner. And then right here, you can see you've got, why am I blanking on your name? Oathbreaker, Elroy Harwood. You've got Lucrezia back here, and then you can kind of see right there on the right, you can see Walter's shoes. I believe this is Walter anyway. You can see these black boots and kind of black pants, so I assume this is Walter over here on the right. Obviously, these three have been around as like a trio since Daybreak 1, so obviously they're going to keep them in the game. But this is the first time, we haven't seen Walter in any promotional stuff, so it's very interesting. And then over here we've got, this is obviously Mirabelle, you've got Kasim, and then Rune is walking with them. I don't know where they're going, maybe in the presidential office. What else we got? So we've got Campanella we saw there. Campanella's doing some kind of crazy stuff, whatever he's doing. This has got to be Novartis with some kind of giant demonic mech thing, whatever this is. Maybe he took the technology he learned from McBurn and put it into a mech or something, I don't know. And then we have Nina. Obviously, we know Nina is the seat of the church or whatever you want to call it. I really can't get that. Can I do, like, the plus and minus thing? How do I? I wanted to do, like, the plus and minus thing, but... There we go. So obviously we know Nina is the missing, I forget what role they specifically said she was, but she's essentially the leader of the Papal Guards in the church, the seat that was said to be missing for so long. So she's going to have a big role to play in this game. She's on the cover of the game right next to the Grandmaster as like an opposing side. And then right here, this shot, obviously that's the Grandmaster looking up at something. Yeah, so this is the Grandmaster in her usual place. I assume we're going to see McBurn and some other characters in here at some point of the game, but she's looking at something here. Maybe our crew gets to invade this place at some point, and you also see right here, it says Project Startaker, 2 hours, 56 minutes. The Eternal Recurrence Plan, which we know is Ouroboros' current plan, it says like 19 minutes, and then it says Project Leviathan, 4 minutes. So there's a bunch of stuff that's going to happen in this game, obviously leading to the world is going to end in 12:00X, which is obviously either 12:10 or 12:09. Presumably, we thought the end of the world would be in 12:09. And then right there, we actually saw the Recluse Cube from... Here, let me go back. We saw the Recluse Cube right there from Sky Third. That's what Kevin and all the other characters went inside for that whole game. Then we get some good stuff where we see Van, Elaine, and all the other characters fighting these masked weirdos. This guy only has a single sword, so I can't really tell who that's supposed to be, if it is a clone of somebody. And then you've got Ferry knocking that guy to the ground. And then you see this guy. He's got the blue and red sword, same as Aaron right here. So that's where the idea that they might be clones or just different universe versions of them. And then right after that, the Reen vs. Shizuna rematch that we've all been waiting for. And then we get a lot of stuff here, so. Okay, so you've got a lot of stuff. I didn't mean to actually maximize it there. Actually, you know what would be easier if I just let me slow it down. Let me just mute this because that's just going to get annoying. Okay, so I guess there's going to be something that's going to happen with the Z1 Grand Prix. They've got Celis in a, like, racer cheering outfit. You got Rion in a suit. You got Kevin and Bergard back there. So very much a church thing. And then, of course, we've got Gotti/Gotch here. Then we've got the picnic crew plus Kevin. So everyone's together here. We got a shot of the Lanster household. That's obviously Judith's grandma. We met her in Daybreak 2. There's Judith's mother. We're going to meet her for the first time. We got Judith, and it looks like Risha is over here as well. We've got this crazy lady. She works for Zect Arms that obviously got away multiple times in Daybreak 2, so I guess she's going to come back in some capacity. Hopefully early on we deal with her, because I'm honestly tired of her. They've been teasing something with Reset. Obviously, we still don't know the full circumstances of Reset's past. We know she had an accident a year before she came to work for Van in person, but we haven't been shared any information. Even in Daybreak 2, we didn't learn anything as to what actually happened to her. So, obviously, in this game, I feel like something's going to happen. They keep showing shots of her, like, holding her face or being alone in a building. So, we're finally going to probably get the conclusion to Reset's story right there. Then we get another shot. Agnes is in her school uniform. They're obviously on top of the Arkride building. What else we got? We got this new guy who has the same voice actor as Yuri Lowell, Kosuke Toriumi. So, presumably, based on everything we've seen, he's either an Anguis or one of the Enforcers. He's over here fighting Kevin, wherever this is. I probably should have just had it on slow motion the whole time. We know this is a new Ouroboros girl. She's like a live streamer Ouroboros girl, so all of her fighting has to do from her being live streamed. So I don't think she's ever physically going to be in front of us. But then you've got Rufus running with Lapis right there. And then we get to this part. We've got Van with Mare on the moon. I don't know if it's the moon or the Recluse Cube, because you look here, when it transitions to this scene, so you see, it almost looks like a barrier comes up. So it might not be the Recluse Cube, they might actually be on the moon, but you see Van is going to be charging and fighting someone here, whether this is the moon or not. He's fighting someone here. He's charging, getting ready to attack. And the person he's fighting is this White Knight woman right here, who, on first glance, I thought this might be like, okay, maybe the Grandmaster has a battle form, and she's finally going to take to the field to kind of like fight to make sure her plan goes in motion. But if we follow what we've seen so far with the other masked characters, essentially possibly being Arkride Solutions characters, the theory came around by a lot of people. What if this is an Agnes from that timeline, an older Agnes that lost Van, lost everything, and just turned to darkness? And what if this is her? And what if Van is going to have to take down a future Agnes? So that would actually be kind of crazy. So you get that. And because you also have this Agnes here essentially crying. And then you get the title, Kai no Kiseki, Farewell Ozumiya. And then you get one more shot. That's obviously, I believe this is going to be Hermes flying around in space. And then you get one more shot back in the Old Town District of Elaine and Agnes and the rest of the crew back there. essentially coming home together. You got a little bird. I don't know if this bird's gonna have any meaning, but then you got Van essentially walking back, and he looks back one more time, and that's the opening. So, very, very cool there. That's pretty much everything for the opening, and then you get this screen right here, which is obviously the main art for the game. You got Van, Agnes, you got Reen, Kevin, and then this is Nino over here, and this is the Grandmaster, presumably. Game comes out in Japan on September 26th. I will be playing it in Japanese. I can read enough to play through the game myself, but I am not going to be doing a playthrough on it until it gets localized in the West, because that would just take too long, because obviously it's going to take me forever to read everything. Like, I'm not a fluent reader, but it's still going to take me a while. So I'm not going to do a blind playthrough when it comes out. I thought about doing it as like a live stream thing, but I just don't feel like that's going to be, you know, such a good idea. I think overall, I'll just save the full playthrough for when it comes out. Presumably, this will come out in the West at the end of 2025, because we already know early 2025 is going to be Daybreak 2 in English. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. So that is a lot going on with this game, and I am very excited to see essentially what's going to happen, because this is going to be the end of the Calvard game, and I do think there's a chance that this game ends on a cliffhanger, because we know the end of the world is supposed to happen in 1209. Like, whatever this event is going to lead to is supposed to be the end of the world. So they could very well do something where that timer we saw, where is it? The timers we saw here end when the credits roll. Like, we see the timer end, and then the credits just roll, and then we get another Reverie style game for the next game that brings all the major players together to deal with whatever threat this is, and then we get like 2 more games after that to finish off the series. It's all crazy. I'm very excited for this game. Obviously, it's less than 2 months away in Japanese. Obviously, if you watch this video to the end, you obviously must not care about spoilers, but obviously this is going to be talked about everywhere. So if you are someone who cares about spoilers, I definitely recommend getting your spoiler tags up, or maybe even take like a social media break from September 26th for like 2 weeks. Just let everyone get it out of their systems and stuff like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are my thoughts on the game right now. Not too much else to say. I'm very excited for this game, the end of the Calvard arc, and to see where we are going to go from here. Van Arkride has one more adventure here. I mean, obviously, we'll still see him again in future games. Presumably, assuming he doesn't die, which I don't think they'll kill him off. But the one thing I didn't talk about here that I'm very curious how it's going to be wrapped up is the deal with Van's demon and what Mare is. We still don't know what Mare is, and we don't know what's going to happen with Van's demon. At the end of Daybreak 1, he essentially throws the core away in his own subconscious, and the demon says he will be back at some point. So I'm sure at some point in this game that demon is going to resurface in some way, and we are going to have to deal with that. But I guess we'll see how that goes. So that's going to be it, guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. Don't forget to subscribe more if you're new to the channel. I'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.